We'll begin with 3 deep breaths in and out, in and out, and in and out. And now, as you breathe, continue to give some attention to your out breath. So allow yourself to breathe in a relaxed, natural way. And as you breathe out, take a few more breaths, or as you come to the end of that out breath, give yourself a little extra push. Push your belly in a little bit as though you're giving yourself a little hug to squeeze the last of that breath out. Not so much that you're gasping for air or desperately need the next breath, but just so that you cleanse all that old breath, that old air out, and then you let your lungs just naturally start to fill. Then again, you breathe out, and at the end of that breath, give a little extra attention to completing that breath, breathing all the way out. And then again, letting that breath begin to fill you, your lungs, in a relaxed way, just opening up to that breath. And breathing out again, pushing that last breath out. And then again, just breathing in a relaxed, natural way. And keep your attention now on the breath, focused on where the breath begins and ends in the belly there. Feeling your belly rise as you breathe in through your nostrils. Your belly falls as you breathe out, breathing out again through your nostrils. And then just naturally allowing the in-breath to begin again. Breathing in and breathing out. And we always work at letting the breath be natural when we breathe in these exercises. We take those first few breaths, deep breaths, and reset the breath by pushing that last bit of the out breath out. And you don't need to continue to have it feel mechanical or forced, that you're forcing the last of that breath out. But just try and see if you can keep your attention through the full cycle of the breath. Keep it on the breath. And just by giving your attention, by keeping it, you might find you need to focus it more than usual on the end of the breath. And you'll find there's that natural transformation that takes place. It's similar to when we scan in our body or come across, as we're doing mindfulness, we come across some tension that's taken hold in our neck or our shoulders. And rather than trying to push it aside, to force it out, we find that just exploring it, giving our attention to it, lets us see that we may have been contributing to that tension some. I think sometimes we place the emphasis in the wrong manner when we try and force things or control things with breath or body or even mind. Instead, we can find that there's that power in just giving our attention fully to it. So again, rather than having an image of how the breath should be, of forcing that out breath, just kind of make that promise to yourself that you'll see the breath all the way through. You'll make sure that your attention is on the end of the breath, just as it is on the beginning of the breath. Breathing in and breathing out fully. When you can do that, you may see also that again, the breath becomes deeper and fuller without effort. And that having that full breath makes it almost easier to continue and maintain your focus of attention. Breathing in and breathing out fully, so that you start from zero with each new in-breath. We don't have all the leftover air from the in-breath. We can be fully open to a new, fresh breath. And then that gives us the opportunity to, through paying attention, fully expel that breath. You may find too that keeping your attention focused at the end of the breath, you become aware of all kinds of subtleties in your breathing. That momentary pause at the end of your breath out before the next breath begins. A kind of complete stillness before the lungs then just naturally begin to expand and take in the next breath. And it allows you to maintain that thread of attention through the breath from the beginning through to the end and right into the next breath. And as always, if you find your attention wanders, there's no shame or judgment in that. We don't direct that at ourselves. We simply bring our attention back into the breath wherever we've lost it. If we lost that focus on the end of the breath and cut that breath short, we don't have to try and go back and do that breath over again. We just come in with the new in-breath and making that vow to ourselves that we'll stay with this one breath all the way through to the end. Breathing in and breathing out fully. You'll probably find too that this also allows you to, without again making any effort, to change that breath for the in-breath to be full as well. Breathing in fully and breathing out fully. As I said, this seems to be a good way to keep your attention strong. It makes it easier to continue it from this breath to the next breath. You may find too, it brings all kinds of other changes. Your body feels more calm and at rest as you're fully breathing and getting in all the oxygen you need. And since breath, body, and mind work together, you may notice it sharpens your mind too, with being able to not just focus your attention and maintain it, but having less of some of those troublesome, distracting thoughts. Or at least if they arise, being able to notice and come back more quickly to the breath. Breathing in and breathing out fully. It might seem almost artificial, but I've found it's because I so often hurry my breath. Even when I'm keeping my attention focused on it and trying to be still and pay attention, I'll take half a breath in and half a breath out, not allowing the breath to go deep into my belly. And especially when I'm involved in physical or mental activity, then in particular, my breath can come short, shallow. And that maintaining this, if you can, this again becomes our new normal for how we breathe. And we can take the time to practice it here when we're excited or walking briskly and a little out of breath, or anxious and breathing shallowly. We can think, oh yeah, I can give my attention to my breath here and make these breaths full. Just the fact of my attention makes my breathing stable, deeper, and slower. And just this simple practice of giving attention to the breath, of breathing in, breathing out to the end, not forcing, just letting the breath be complete. Then beginning again, breathing in, breathing out. Really noticing this has helped me see all the ways throughout my day I'm hurried in things I do. I start washing a dish. I'm going to get it good and clean. Then when it comes time to rinse it, I hurry to finish that little task. I begin things with that attention or intention of doing them fully and doing them the way I want to. But then as I get closer to the end, I hurry it up. when we're doing things fully and completely, it's as though we don't leave any trace behind us. Much like in the same way, if I'm hurrying to wash those dishes, I leave the traces of food, soapy water on the dishes. But when we do things fully and completely, we finish them and we're done with them, and we can move on to the next. And as always, this breath is such a good place to practice this, to experience it. Just breathing fully and completely, breathing in and breathing out. Another place to practice with this is if you do some mindfulness on your own and you've set a timer or a certain amount of time that you're going to do it for. I'm guilty of this, of kind of trying again to speed things up as I get closer to the end of the 20 or 25 minutes. Not focusing on my breath, trying to move things along, not maintaining that stability and focus that I had at the very beginning. I don't know if you do this, but it's much like for me when I'm on a long trip and I'm anxious to get home. When I'm returning home, I can maintain my speed, not go too fast, pay attention to what I'm doing. But the closer I get to home, the more anxious I am to get home and be finished. The more I notice my speed starts creeping up until I'm well over the speed limit and I have to pull it back down again. So we're always rushing to be done, be on to the next thing. And of course, the ultimate drawback of that is if we're always rushing to be on to the next thing, we're never really present in this thing right now. And in this case, it's that breath. We're breathing in and breathing out. One breath at a time, one full, complete breath. Again, it can be natural. It's not needing to force anything. In some ways, it's a matter of paying attention and also just slowing down. We don't need to slow down the speed at which we're doing things. We just slow our mind down to keep up with those things we're doing. Being fully present with each thing, finishing completely each thing we do. So pay attention to that during this week if you can. Notice if you're sitting in traffic or in the line at the bank or watching a show at home. First, being aware if you have that urge, that rush to finish. Sometimes we even do it with things we enjoy, just wanting them to be finished. And you can use your breath as a way to notice and to ground yourself. And try on a few occasions as you're doing the dishes or driving somewhere, have that thought, I will finish what I'm doing completely before I go on to the next. And now we'll finish this period completely, keeping your full attention on 3 deep and complete breaths to end. And when you're ready, open your eyes.